Hi folks, my name is Kayla Branch. I'm a reporter here at the Oklahoman, and joining me today is Mr. Greg Williams, the new jail administrator for the Oklahoma County Jail Trust. Mr. Williams, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely, and we're excited to have Mr. Williams because the Oklahoma County Jail Trust is moving forward to transition management of the county jail, which has a history of some pretty severe problems, and so they're going to be taking over come next year. Mr. Williams here was hired in November to come on and manage the day-to-day operations of the jail facility. So, Mr. Williams, talk a little bit about yourself and what you were doing. You were formerly a DOC administrator. Talk a little bit about your experience there.
Yep. I've worked for the Department of Corrections since 1983, so had 36 wonderful years with the Department of Corrections, and started off as a correctional officer, and was blessed really in being able to move around the agency with a number of positions and a number of facilities and probation and parole districts. So really just had an opportunity to do a lot of different things.
Definitely, definitely. And talk a little bit about why you were interested in applying for the jail administrator job, especially as it's been highly publicized, some of the issues that the jail faces. So what were you hoping to come in and achieve being the next jail administrator?
Yeah, really, criminal justice in all with Oklahoma is going through a lot of transition, with restorative justice and really looking at a lot of the crimes in 780 and there's a lot of transition and a lot of excitement right now with doing some things different. They're taking a close look at least at what we are doing and maybe taking a new approach about how we think about crime and criminals and detention and putting people in prison and releases and just the whole gamut. So it's an exciting time for all of criminal justice. And then when I had an opportunity to look at the trust and look at the county jail and again, like you said, there's just a lot of people interested in doing some things different and taking a fresh look at that. So that was just very exciting to me, and I thought it might be good timing. Get in on the ground floor, be the first administrator for the trust, and just a lot of good things about a fresh start and this time of the transition.
Definitely. So you're going to be able to walk in and really have an impact, And something that you mentioned earlier was MAPS 4, right? So not just in terms of the county jail, but Oklahoma City is going to have this sales tax initiative, and it has a lot of things that will definitely impact how the jail can operate and talk a little bit about what that might mean going forward with MAPS 4.
People just don't all of a sudden just appear at the jail. There's a lot of things that happen prior to that, and a lot of societal kind of issues and mental health and substance abuse and domestic violence, and there's just a lot of trouble that lead people into the criminal justice system. So I think Oklahoma is taking a fresh look at that, and again, a global approach and really a systematic approach to really where do we start? With the issues that we have even with juveniles and kids and foster care and teen pregnancy and, like I say, domestic violence and substance abuse and the opioid, stuff that's going on. So really, I think taking a systematic look at that is what Oklahoma is beginning to do, at least, or starting to do. So all of those things have a huge impact on the detention and on prisons.
Definitely. And some of the MAPS 4 projects that we're talking about are like the diversion hub for low-level offenders, mental health resources, and expansion of the city's Family Justice Center for victims of domestic violence are all included in MAPS 4. So a lot of those things will have that impact on the county jail. And with your work at DOC, going through the years, obviously that department has struggled with low funding, low staffing issues, and problems with aging facilities, and a lot of that translates directly over to what the county jail has been struggling with. So talk a little bit about how your experience with DOC in those areas is going to be an asset to you moving forward.
Corrections and detention and working with individuals, it's more complex really than maybe what it appears on the outside. And like I said, there's just a lot of factors that go into really bringing people to prison or bringing people to the detention center with their mental illness and substance abuse and domestic violence and all different kinds of things doing that. So it's very difficult work. And, I want to applaud the people that are working at the county jail right now. And turnover is big, and people do leave because it's hard work. I mean, it is difficult work, and a lot of times you don't get the rewards, and really it's hard to find successes in that kind of work. So I think that's some of what the excitement about coming to Oklahoma County, and just the things that are going on in the county and going on in the state does give people some excitement about, maybe people are catching on, and maybe people really do realize the complexities of changing people's behavior.
Right.
Taking a very dysfunctional person and making them into a pro-social person or a very high-functioning person is difficult work. So again, that accounts for a lot of the turnover. Running operations like the Department of Corrections and the Oklahoma County Detention Center are not cheap. I mean, they're big structures with a lot of moving parts, and it takes a lot of people and a lot of systems and a lot of equipment and a lot of physical plant. And again, some of the people that we house are not working with us.
Right.
A lot of times they're very destructive. They like to tear stuff up, or somehow they find motivation to tear stuff up. So it's hard work, and that's some of the things that I'm excited about, getting over there and taking a look at it and trying to get things going a different way.
Right, and talk a little bit about what work you've been able to do so far. I know you were just hired in November, or announced in November, and they're waiting to get funding for your salary and an office space and things going forward. So technically, I don't think you're hired officially, but what have you been able to do so far?
Just a lot of informal kind of conversations, and again, I've spent some time with the public defenders, and I've talked to some judges even this morning, and just trying to work with them or really kind of get their perspective. Really what I'd like to do is just kind of find out, what do people think can be improved, or really where do you start, and what kind of things need to be my first approach, and what are the people, really, because I'm a servant, and really I want to work providing a service that the county wants, and that law enforcement wants, and the judges want, and the courts want. So again, getting their perspective and finding out really what are they unhappy with, or what would they like to see improved, kind of helps me. They're my customers, and they're going to be the stakeholders that I'm going to be trying to work with. So again, just trying to get a perspective on where we at, or where do they think we're at, or what is their perceptions at this point.
Definitely. And I know the January 1 date has been kind of thrown out and talked about a lot as the sheriff's deadline for wanting this transition to take place. And from what I've heard from, like you were just talking about, county commissioners and others involved at the county level, that probably is not going to happen. It is looking like it may be more toward the summer, and giving a full time span to really make sure that the transition is vetted, and that you have those opportunities to create goals and vision plans going forward. So do you find that is the same kind of information that you're gathering on the transition timeline? Right.
There's a lot of structure behind the operation. It's not just a matter of coming. I mean, you've got to have insurance, you've got to have budgets, you've got to have purchasing and procurement, you've got to have HR systems, and you got to have all kinds of different things working behind the scenes. So those are the things really that'll need to be set up and really established before as the trust takes over the jail. So I have talked to the sheriff, and I met with him briefly on Friday, and I have talked a little bit about him. So he is eager to start working with me as well, and start making that transition. And I think we'll work well together, and he's going to be a big help for me.
Great. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add here at the end of our little segment?
I don't think so.
Wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right.
Really appreciate it. And thank you, folks, for tuning in. See you next time.